When people think of innovation, law isn't usually the first field that comes to mind. We picture Silicon Valley startups, biomedical labs, or new technology hitting the market. But innovation in law is just as essential, especially for governments navigating complex regulations, public crises, and the day-to-day grind of serving communities. For James Vasselli, founding partner of Vasselli Law, innovation isn't optional. It's the difference between a community moving forward or being left behind. And unlike the corporate world, where failure can be framed as a learning opportunity, governments don't have that luxury. You can't miss payroll for first responders. You can't leave people without water for weeks. You can't stall when the law is the only thing standing between order and chaos, Vasselli says. That's why we have to practice law differently, more deliberate, more strategic, more human. Anchoring innovation in discipline, innovation in law doesn't come from chasing trends, Vasselli says. It comes from discipline, clarity, and the courage to approach problems differently. That starts with what he calls the core stabilizing tenets: family, faith, health, and gratitude. A lawyer, he explains, can't think creatively if they aren't grounded. A mind anchored in purpose has the freedom to explore new ideas, he says. It's a philosophy rooted as much in Stoicism as in legal practice. Quoting Marcus Aurelius, "Do every act of your life as though it were the very last act of your life," Vasselli explains that urgency sharpens focus. When you work with that mindset, you don't waste time, you cut to the core. From there, he shifts to systems. James Clear got it right. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Innovation in law is about designing systems that don't just fix today's mess but make tomorrow's work more efficient. His toolkit includes the pyramid principle to simplify complexity, the 5 whys to get to the root cause of problems, and SWOT analysis to map both risks and opportunities. These aren't just business school exercises, they're ways of forcing clarity into chaotic situations. The process itself is my laboratory for innovation, Vasselli says, citing Bob Rotella's reminder that exceptional people immerse themselves in process goals. When innovation meets crisis, this disciplined approach gets tested most in moments of crisis. One of the clearest examples came in Dixmoor, a small Illinois village of 3,000, when its water system failed. People were without water, kids couldn't take showers, families couldn't cook. There was no playbook for this, Vasselli recalls. The easy move would have been finger-pointing or waiting for state intervention. Instead, Vasselli and his team went directly to neighboring municipalities and secured immediate intergovernmental agreements. Using Illinois' Intergovernmental Relations Act, he built the legal framework for multiple governments to share authority, resources, and funding in ways they normally couldn't. The outcome: $14 million in support secured, and more importantly, water restored. The statute gave us the authority, but the real win was human grandmothers boiling tea again, kids finally getting a hot shower. That's the point of law, making life work again. Risk, creativity, and audacity. For Vasselli, creative lawyering is always tied to risk. Audacity, 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 he repeats, a mantra borrowed from history but practiced daily. Lawyers can't eliminate risk for their clients, but they can map it. His firm builds what he calls menus of risk, presenting leaders with clear options, the upside and downside of each, and the real consequences of action or inaction. Our job isn't to tell a mayor how to run a town. It's to say, here's what could go right, here's what could go wrong, and here's how much risk you're really taking. And then comes the push: dream big, baby. If you're only thinking in safe increments, you'll never create breakthroughs. But we respect that not every client has the same appetite for risk. Some want bold moves, others want guardrails. Our job is to meet them where they are without shrinking the vision. Leading through unrest, the test of that philosophy came again during the protests that followed George Floyd's death. Mayors were pulling me into rooms, saying, "How do we handle this? There's no law school course on looting or unrest. But history teaches you something. You don't dictate, you collaborate. You don't dehumanize, you equalize." Rather than defaulting to strict enforcement, Vasselli guided his clients toward strategies of engagement: listening first, communicating clearly, protecting peaceful protesters, and isolating bad actors without vilifying entire groups. The law isn't about shutting people down. It's about keeping space open for voices, for justice, for peace. That balance between rights and responsibility was the innovation. It required seeing the law not just as a shield or sword, but as a platform for trust. Building a culture of creativity inside Vasselli Law, innovation isn't a solo act. I'm blessed with a team that's naturally creative. My job is to meet them where they are, know how they think, how they communicate, what drives them. If you understand someone's love language, you unlock their best ideas. That culture of collaboration mirrors how he treats clients: open dialogue, honest options, no sugarcoating. It's why Vasselli Law often gets called into situations other firms avoid. We don't just react, we help governments think ahead, manage risk before it escalates, and align legal advice with real-world priorities. The discipline behind inspiration. Ask Vasselli where creativity comes from, and he cuts through the cliché. Inspiration, motivation, great words, but they fade. Discipline doesn't. Discipline is showing up, grinding through, and building systems that outlast mood or momentum. He compares it to training. You don't win championships because you were inspired one day. You win because you built the muscle memory. Law is the same, it's about discipline sharpened by urgency. Success measured in reality. How does he measure success? Not by awards or headlines. If 500 jobs come to a depressed community, that's success. If a kid can shower after 2 weeks without water, that's success. If a grandmother sends you a Spider-Man statue because you got her grandson cleared of charges he didn't deserve, that's success. The through line is practical impact. My ego and status aren't at issue here. What matters is whether our work improves lives and whether we do it efficiently, effectively, and at a cost that respects taxpayers. The bigger picture for Vasselli, innovation in law isn't about gadgets, apps, or flashy reforms. It's about discipline sharpened by urgency, creativity backed by systems, and courage tested in real-world crises. Law is supposed to be the operating system of society, he says. If the system crashes, people suffer. Our job at Vasselli Law is to make sure it doesn't crash and, when it does, to get it back online faster, smarter, and stronger. It's why he returns again and again to one central point. Our goal isn't just to practice law. It's to practice it differently, more deliberate, more strategic, more human.